it's Helen with So Kind of Wonderful, and this video is all about butterfly fields and patchwork blocks. And this one is the Shoofly block from butterfly number 7. From butterfly number 7 is the Shoofly block. So we make the patchwork, and then we make the curves for the butterfly, and then we put them all together. So let's get busy making the patchwork for number 7 Shoofly butterfly. All right, we are working on the Shoofly butterfly patchwork for butterfly fields. And this is in your butterfly fields pattern. This is on page 17. And this is just some half square triangles and some 2-inch squares. So the first thing we're doing is we're taking 4 of the yellow and 4 purple, and we will layer these right sides together. So you'll have 4 sets like this. You will draw a diagonal line. And then we will sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that line. You can also use diagonal seam tape or any other method you like for making half square triangles. We'll be doing that to all 4 sets to make oversized half square triangles. So we'll have 4 of those. So the first one here, I will use my diagonal line I've drawn. So on one side, turn it around, and I have a 1/4 inch foot on. That's my guide for following the line. Or for these, I can use diagonal seam tape. And here I am keeping the point on the 1/4 inch side of diagonal seam tape. And switch it around and do the other side. Here you can see that is sewn on each side of that diagonal line. And now we will cut a part on our diagonal line. Just use a straight edge and a rotary cutter. You can also eyeball it if you're pretty good at that. You're just cutting these apart. Okay. Now it's time to press. I am pressing this seam open. It will reduce the bulk in my little patchwork block, so I'll go press all these seams open. Here are my 8 half square triangles. And now I need to square them to 2 inches. You can use your favorite square up method. Here I have a diagonal mark on that center seam. And I have plenty of fabric. So trim 2 sides and then put trimmed edges on the 2s and trim off whatever's left. You can also square up before you press. That's another method. You can also square up, you know, using two sides. Let's keep the two sides that are there already. So here, we're lined up there with the diagonal, and then I can trim those off. Then I can just trim off those little good seam points. So at this point, you're just trimming up all 8 to 2 by 2. I have all 8 squared up. So now I'm just looking at my picture, laying everything out. Again, you always have the opportunity to switch things up as long as you have the same size patchwork when you're done. Shoofly is a very traditional block. It's a lot of fun to make. It's very interesting. So there we are laid out. We're going to make 2 of them that look like this. And I'm going to sew this together into rows. And then I will sew those rows together. The first set of seams will alternate direction. And then the second longer seams will press those open. All right, I will show how I sew it together without cutting the threads. So put your middle one on your first one here. Sewing 1/4 inch seams. Notice how we're not cutting our thread. We're just picking up the next set. Okay, now we go back up to the top. This one, the only thing you have to make sure of is that you don't flip your block and sew it on the wrong direction or on the wrong row. I do like this method for putting patchwork together. And our last one. All right, now again, I have not cut my threads, so we're keeping it all together. I'm going to flip that side column over onto the center. And I haven't pressed yet. Here I am nesting the seams, so the top one will go down, and the center block, the seam on the back side, is going away from me. And then on our next one, I'm pushing the seams towards the center, So now the bottom one is going away from, the top one's away from me and the bottom one is toward me. What that does is it makes those seams nest so that you get a nice point where your seams come together. All right, now let's do the other side, and I just check on the back. All right, that top, the bottom seam goes away from me. bottom seam will go towards me. And there you can see how it joins nicely. And now we'll go press our seams. The last little trick I do is I take my scissors, and at this point I trim those little loops that are where I didn't cut my threads earlier. And now I can press that seam open. All right, here are my 2 Shoofly blocks. And I'll show you the seams. So the last 2 seams are pressed open, the rest are pressed to the side, alternating. And there we go.